Right friends, welcome back to S&T Health and Environment for 20th week, and we are going to deliberate on two issues. One is the culling of Nilgai. Nilgai is a blue bull in Ganga Gandak basin of Bihar, and large scale killing of Nilgai is taking place, which is known as culling. That means eliminating one sect of animals is known as culling. And we have to look at the alternatives. Then second important point, reducing global warming. So far we concentrated on reducing the burning of fossil fuels, but we are going to have a glance at climate engineering. What are the other alternatives? So look at the first issue, that is culling of Nilgai. Is it the only alternative? You may ask, what is Nilgai? Nilgai is basically blue bull. Please look into this picture. This is Nilgai, and in recent times mass killing of Nilgai by professional shooters in Bihar's Mokama area took place after long years of hostility. Farmers in Bihar claim that every year lakhs of rupees worth crops are being damaged by this blue bull, and it destroys crops like wheat, pulses, maize and vegetables. And this crop raiding species is found on acres of agricultural fields in basically Ganga and Gandak basins of Bihar. And farmers in some districts are demanding a license to kill these blue bulls. Mass scale killing of animals is known as culling, right? And please look into this. This is Gandak Ganga basin in Bihar, and let us look at what are the reasons why these animals are entering into the human habitations. First and the foremost reason is their habitats might have encroached upon by the human beings. Second important point is their water sources might have dried up in their habitations because of climate change, and don't forget 2014 and 15 are two consecutive years of drought. Third point is their food chain might have got disturbed. Then shrinking areas of forests or their habitats. And another important aspect is there may be scarcity of fodder in their habitations. This is nothing but disruption to their food chain. Then real estate mafia or a timber mafia might be destroying this flora and fauna, because various types of flora and fauna are necessary for coexistence of various animals. And you may ask, what is meant by flora, what is meant by fauna? Flora is nothing but different types of vegetation. Then fauna is nothing but different types of animals. And what are the disastrous consequences? Basically, it disturbs the ecological balance, that is the biodiversity. And the second important point is it disturbs the natural food chain and disastrous in the long run. And finally, what are the alternatives? The first and the foremost is one has to identify the cause of the conflict before addressing the issue. Second important point is if water sources have dried up, then digging of the water holes is one alternative. Then if the grass they eat has been overrun by inedible new flora, that means a new vegetation came up which is not fit for their consumption. In those cases, we have to correct that. Next important point is if their numbers have grown beyond the capacity the habitat can accommodate, then relocation is the best option. Then another option is introducing the predators to check their population rise. Then culling of the animals should be the last option. We have to go into the crux of the problem and we have to find the various types of solutions before undertaking culling. And culling of the animals or large scale slaughtering of animals should be the last option because it disturbs the biodiversity. Then constant monitoring and evaluation of different interventions is necessary before zeroing on the viable option, and at the same time government must also reconsider designating some wild animals posing danger to human life and crops as vermins. There is a lot of demand for declaring some of the animals which are frequently disturbing the crops as vermins, and government should look at other options before declaring any animal as vermin, right? So with this, let us conclude this culling of wild animals and what are the alternatives, and let us move on to the next second topic of the week, that is reducing global warming, a glance at climate engineering. And as per the climate pact, the burning of fossil fuels is to be reduced so as to control the increase of global average temperature rise to 2 degrees centigrade, preferably 1.5 degrees centigrade when one compares with the temperatures of a pre-industrial era. All of you are familiar with this, and we are going to look at different other alternatives because reducing the burning of fossil fuels may not be possible in several countries, because to reduce the burning of fossil fuels, alternate technologies of solar power and wind power should be available at affordable cost. So let us look at some non-conventional solutions for reducing global warming, and this is popularly known as climate engineering. Climate engineering has got two parts. One is management of carbon, the second one is solar radiation management. You may ask, what is meant by climate engineering? Climate engineering is an application of geoengineering, and it is the deliberate and large scale intervention in Earth's climatic system with the aim of reducing global warming. With an aim to reduce global warming, large-scale human intervention in the Earth's climatic system is climate engineering. And climate engineering has got two divisions. One is the management of carbon, the second one is solar radiation management. You may ask, what is meant by management of carbon? Management of carbon is basically directed towards removing greenhouse gases from the atmosphere. How to remove greenhouse gases from the atmosphere? That is management of carbon. The first one, which is in the experimental stage across the world, is carbon capture and storage. All of you are familiar with the release of carbon dioxide from the coal-fired power plants, and that carbon dioxide is captured physically, and that carbon dioxide is recaptured by physically sucking it and transporting it and burying it underground. And through this process, International Energy Agency, this is a Paris-based organization, stated that global carbon dioxide emissions can be reduced by 19%. And this is popularly known as carbon capture and storage. And if you ask whether anywhere across the world this experiment has taken place, absolutely. Please look into this slide. One coal-fired power plant at Boundary Dam in Canada was constructed, and here the process used is carbon capture and storage. Carbon dioxide is physically recaptured and buried underground. So this is 115 megawatt $1.3 billion power plant which was commissioned last year, and this is one example of this carbon capture and storage. And second one of management of carbon is increasing forest cover. All of you are familiar with this. Increasing forest cover, as plants will absorb unwanted carbon dioxide, and it is a simple strategy of reducing carbon dioxide. And forests are important carbon pools which continuously exchange carbon dioxide with the atmosphere due to both the natural processes and human action. So continuous exchange of gases takes place when sufficient tree cover exists. So increasing forest cover is the second option. So under management of carbon, we learnt about two things. One is carbon capture and storage underground. The second one is increasing the forest cover. And next one is most important, and it is still under experimental stage. That means various processes under solar radiation management or under experimental processes now, and solar radiation management basically describes different technologies that aim to reflect sunlight back into space. Because sunlight coming from sun, it comes through the process called radiation, and it warms the earth's surface. Before sunlight hitting the earth, part of sunlight is reflected back into the space. That is solar radiation management. Basically, it is to reduce global warming by cutting down the heat absorbed by our planet from the sun. And there are three technologies, and for these three technologies, several experiments are going on across the world. The first one is marine cloud brightening. It is basically designed to increase the reflectance of Earth's cloud cover. That means it reduces the amount of incoming solar radiation striking the Earth's surface. Basically, in this process, various spraying devices are placed on the land and mounted on ocean-going vessels, and subsequently these devices would expel a mist of pressurized seawater droplets and dissolved salts. Here, the mixture of seawater droplets as well as dissolved salts will be released so as to reach altitudes up to 300 meters. And as the water droplets evaporates, finally bright salt crystals would remain in the atmosphere and they will reflect the incoming solar radiation. So this is one method, that is a marine cloud brightening. Look into the second one, Cirrus cloud manipulation. These are under experimental stage. Only I have taken this topic so as to explain you about various non-conventional methods available for solar radiation management. Here, this Cirrus cloud manipulation. You may ask, what are Cirrus clouds? Please look into this slide. Cirrus clouds are thin ice clouds in the upper troposphere have a net warming effect on Earth's climate. The basic purpose is reducing the cirrus cloud amount or optical thickness of cirrus clouds. If we reduce the thickness of cirrus clouds, then it will cool the climate. So here, seeding cirrus clouds using aircrafts with the particles that promote ice nucleation. Here, these cirrus clouds are seeded by using aircrafts with the particles, and ultimately they promote ice nucleation, and ultimately the thickness of this cirrus clouds would be reduced. So please look into this slide. Aircrafts here are being used to seed cirrus clouds with the particles. And the last one is a stratospheric aerosol injection. You may ask, what is meant by aerosol? Aerosols are nothing but fog or geyser steam. These are examples of natural aerosols, and artificial aerosols are haze, dust particles and air pollutants and smoke. These are all examples of aerosols. And here, these aerosols, which are nothing but fine light colored particles, are injected into the tropical stratosphere, which are designed to reflect back part of the solar radiation. So here, aerosols are injected, because of which solar radiation will be reflected back, right? So this is the third one, and these three are under experimental stage, and the best one for the time being is through management of carbon, that is increasing the forest cover. Not only that, carbon capture and storage. So these two are the best methods, and remaining three methods under solar radiation management are under various experimental stages. Right friends, I think that you have fair idea about non-conventional methods to control global warming. And with this, let us conclude SNT Health and Environment. Please do join for other modules. Have a nice day. Thank you.